Hi, I'm Yuti.
And I'm Dustina. Today, we're going to talk about Vercible, democratizing access to college counseling. So this is me, and when I started high school, I was determined to study abroad for a better education. As an international student, I faced difficulties finding opportunities due to limited resources. More than that, I started to realize money's importance in this process as an international student while applying for various programs such as Leangap. I felt like I was missing out crucial chances for personal growth. I had the motivation, but no knowledge of how or where to put my capabilities. And I realize now that I am not alone in this experience. Just from the US, 20 million people apply for college, which is 1/4 of the total population of Turkey. When we add international applicants, this number skyrockets. So it is a fact that all of us students have a destination in mind, which is college, but we have no map to get there.
So as you can see from Destina's story, what students really need is a hub of information about opportunities, and the go-to solution for this is college counseling. And college counseling works. Students who get guidance throughout high school are 5 times more likely to get into a prestigious university, such as UC Berkeley. However, college counseling is very expensive. Just a 1-hour meeting can cost $200, while a full application review can be $3,000, and this is just the minimum price range. This makes admission processes unequal because 26% of high-achieving students have a college counselor. What about the students who can't afford one? They're at a disadvantage.
So the solution we have created is affordable, needed right now, personalized, available for assistance 24/7, and we have extracted the most important parts of college counseling and added even more features into it.
So now, introducing the future of college counseling, Vercible. As you can see in this demo, the user asks for some summer programs that are related to engineering. Using our expansive database of opportunities, information about these summer programs is provided. More than that, as you can see, we have a forum feature. This allows students to ask questions to university students or other high schoolers who used to be in the same position, allowing students to gain advice and create connections.
Currently, we have an annual subscription model with a 14-day free trial. Our prices for our premium and elite memberships are also here. And we can democratize college counseling while making money. Since a college counselor is dedicating 100 hours to an individual student, requires a lot of man hours, and therefore is expensive. Using our technology, we shrink that to a zero and manage to be affordable. For traction, in 2 weeks, we have used our personal network and have reached 23 users who have given us their credit card information. This will equate to more than $7,000 when the free trial ends, and we already made one sale. As you can see by our price model, Vercible offers a much more affordable solution compared to college counseling. In 4 years, while college counseling can cost $25,000, Vercible Premium only costs $1,280. Not only are we providing such an affordable price, but we will add several more features into it to help us get more customers in the next year.
These features include a writing workshop for help with essays, standardized test preparation, partnerships with programs and platforms such as tutoring services, and expanding our database of opportunities. So, to make all of these goals into reality, we're asking for $245,000, the bulk of which will go into engineering to ensure that we can add more features into our product and make it more useful for students. Though this might seem like a lot, we have a huge total accessible market, which is everybody interested in applying to college globally. This is $10 billion. When we narrow this down to a serviceable obtainable market, we see that it's students from Istanbul preparing for applying to college in the US. This is specifically focusing on Istanbul because this is where we reached out using our personal network. And we also have the perfect team to make this happen because as high schoolers, all of us know exactly what we need to get into our dream university, and we know how to implement this into our product.
And a little surprise, we currently have 5 college students ready to offer private sessions to our elite members, combining real experience with AI for a comprehensive feedback approach. In conclusion, while equalizing the college application process, we are not only making you a better candidate for college applications, but a more qualified person and individual. Judges, with Vercible, let's help every student reach their destination. Thank you.
So one of the challenges with some of these college guidance counselors, there's the affordability problem, which is obviously huge. One of the issues is that a lot of people don't actually realize that services like these, even exist in the first place, that they even need to get some of this help. So how do you convince people that there, is even a service like this that they should even consider, especially when there are other online paid services they could use, like College Vine, which are a little more consulting based, and free online forums like College Confidential?
Yeah, okay. So the thing is, I actually thought about this too before finding the idea. The thing is, College Wine is offering info and not making like direct communication and making suggestions. Also, it is not giving you, I think, really current data, which is a thing we have, and like one of the most important thing we have, because our database is regulated, so it is always the current thing. And since the programs and extracurricular activities are always changing, the thing we have different than College Wine is, while we are making direct communication by the service AI offers, we are also giving them the new things, not the old things. Because, like, for example, since you said College Wine is still, I think, working on 2023's data, not 1 year ago's. So yeah, I would say that's it.
But as for how we, your question was centered around how we can convince students that they need this service, if I'm correct.
Oh, sorry. Yes, because like you do still need to get people to even realize that they need this, right? Because the thing is that building a college application is something that starts long before you're actually applying. So you have to talk to people and tell them when they're in like 9th grade that this is important to them.
Yeah, that is very important. But as you can see from our story that Destina presented, students have an idea that they are not reaching their full potential and that they're having trouble finding such resources. This is already something that's in students' minds. As a high schooler, I can speak for this myself. So they have this problem, and essentially we have this perfect way to solve it. We have this way to get there. So all we need to do is get the idea out there, advertise, and then students who already recognize that this is a problem for them can easily register for our services.
Yeah, because according to our current target audience, there's 2 types of students in this college application process. The students who has like limitless financial opportunities, who are generally preferring to go with college counseling, but our target audience is mainly not that students, but that students who have the motivation to actually make something and doesn't have enough financial opportunities at least to hire a college counseling. And we are like having much more also advantages other than being affordable. So yeah.
And by the way, what I saw was just like sort of the search tool. Is that what the product is today? Is a vertical search tool?
I'm sorry, which can you clarify?
Your product, it's the search tool, right? That says help me find X.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that college guidance counselors do is they help you realize what you need to look for in the first place. I'm wondering, how are you helping solve that problem? And sort of relatedly, whenever you have vertical search, right, there's really only 2 ways that vertical search makes money, in my experience. The first one is either that they have some very unique index that saves a special audience a crazy amount of time. The other one is that they have a very unique data set. So one example of the first one is there's a company called like LexisNexis. They take court cases, which by the way are free by law, but they've made them extremely easy to search. And so they take lawyers who are paid $1,000 an hour and make it so that they can find court cases way faster, which we are paid $1,000 an hour is worth a lot of money. And so it's like a $3 billion+ a year business, even though Google exists, which is free. And similarly, there's a lot of science databases where they make a lot of money because they have data that other people don't have, because they have scientists who they paid sometimes for 50+ years to take data and annotate it by hand. So they have data that literally no one else has. So in your case, like what, since right now it's just vertical search, like, so there's the first question of how does it actually help people realize what they even need to look for in the first place? And B, since it's vertical search, which one is it doing? Better index or better data, and why is it actually differentiated relative to a freely available search engine?
Okay, so Prakar, can you share your screen, because I have a snippet of our database that I think will give the judges a good idea. of how we store our information. It's in the appendix section, but I can start.
Related to this question, so you mentioned that you're having the most recent data. Like, how are you getting this differentiated data?
Yeah, definitely. So it took some research on our end, and we found several. It took some research on our ends to compile this database. But and since we were the ones who compiled it, we know firsthand that this data is very hard to access. Finding like 50 services. Yeah, this is a snippet of our database. So we have the name, the type of activity it is, the category, the subjects that go into it, the description, which grades can apply to it, the deadline, the cost, extra information, and links for more information. So these are the columns in our database. So I would say that it's the first kind of vertical search tool because it saves a lot of times for the users. As I mentioned, our team was the one who compiled this firsthand. So we know how much time went into looking for it and searching for it. Let me know if that answers your guys' questions.
So is the idea that basically you've taken a bunch of these things, you've like extracted some information about like, what it costs and whatever. But like, I guess what I'm like a lot of what a college advisor tells you is, oh, like the guys at Princeton really like this program, so you should take this one. Like, do you have that information?
So I would like to add on, it's not technically a vertical search tool, more like an AI tool that helps to generate like examples and like advices. So whenever like let's say a college advisor says, oh, people at that place like stat program a lot, the AI would technically have enough information to also tell the user that if I believe the user can word, I believe the AI could generate that answer. If I'm not wrong, UT, you can correct me on that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, essentially this is, as we continue developing on this product, we're going to have information saved about the user as well, such as their dream university. And let's say that it is Princeton. So we're going to continue expanding our product and expanding our database such that it can include that information. Yeah.
So a really important thing is that like, it's important to have a vision. So like, when you're pitching a product, it's really good to say, why will this be $1 billion company? Great. We're going to capture all this information. We're going to have data that no one else has. And so we're going to be able, thank you, to say like, here's what all these colleges really want. Great. But you have to say, why am I going to grow today? What is my value proposition today? And today you don't have all of this like private data about admissions, right? Like what people were getting into, what they were taking. And so as I understand, you don't have all this real-time data of, the folks at Stanford really like when you take engineering extracurriculars more so than when you take ballet extracurriculars. And also, by the way, they really like this particular one, right? To my understanding. So in terms of the value prop today, where's the suggestion? Where's the AI?
So I think there is actually two parts of this thing, the database we're using and also the AI. I think Yuti can elaborate more on this since she mostly used on this, but the basic thing is, while the database is giving the info, like the current thing which we're expanding and regulating, like in a specific timeline, the AI is making specific suggestions on you, not only giving the info, but also considering your current info. But I think Yuti can elaborate more on that because I don't have like the most detailed version of it.
I have a question on that actually. Can I scrape your database?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Can I scrape your database? I mean, you're saying the data, right? Can I access it without like logging in? Can I access it after logging into your database?
It's part of the paid service, so you can only access it after you've paid. Yeah.
So let's say
I don't believe the data. I don't think the database itself that we created is public by any measures. I believe there's using SQL and MongoDB. There should be like a locked to that database. So only if the user uses the AI to search up that data, then the data will pop up, but not that they can't access the raw database. No.
Got it. And you said that the database, it was hard for you to find it, but you still were able to find it, right? It was hard, but you still were able to find the data. And the big question is that I don't think the data is like proprietary, right? It's like if you can find it, I'm sure someone else a hardworking team can also dig in, maybe spend more hours, and they can find the data as well, right?
It's basically since we were there to find it, it took a long time to find it. It took us around maybe 2 to 3 days of actual full work, like hours spent on that. While normal students don't usually have that time to spend on because they have their own schoolwork, their own like homework to do, and they just need like an assistant to help them to find that data. That's
That's just resource problem, right? I mean, what I'm trying to say is like, if I as a company and I have my own data that I only have and I generate from like ground up, right? You do take some actions on my platform and I have the data is very special to me. Whatever that is, you can't just get it, right? And then I train my model because you're using AI that anyone else can use. You can find the data that anyone else can actually find as well. Then I can train my ChatGPT model on top of it, right? And then I can have the same service. Then the only question would be, what is it GTM looks like, right? Are you going to grow faster? Are you going to actually gather the data that no one else has faster than the other players? So you can then actually build something on top of it that's more highly recommended AI, right? I mean, it's going to be a great personalized AI that can help you. Kind of going back to what Evan was asking, right? Like you don't have the data, like what should I be taking? If you're going to really suggest me what's best for me.
Yeah, when you look to what you say, you're definitely right about if we want to improve our success, then we need to have like a better data, as you said. But also when we look to the competitors and the current sector, the competitors are just giving information or only using bots, which is not making you feel like communicating. And there are many problems in there too, and they're also not popular. I think the only main competitors we could say would be the college counseling, which is really expensive, and college one, which is only giving you the information. So I think for at least getting into a specific traction so we can improve our data and other sources, we have enough availability compared to our competitors. But like you said, yeah, we will definitely need to improve our data more to have like the maximum access.
Can I cut? I had to cut off. So for the data issue where it says that most people could just get other people can just search that data up and implement it in AI. We plan to expand our team of development so that we have actual active researchers on behind to update the database much more frequently. And that's probably on one of our ways to deal with the data issues and how it's not exactly private for now.
Yeah, because the opportunities are somewhat offered, like at least in my personal story, the opportunities are offered, but it is taking a hell lot of time to find those. So the thing we're doing is while we're doing this affordable, so it might have a difference than college counseling, we are also making them more accessible. So I think we are combining the both things that you mentioned in the first place.
By the way, one of the things that you might consider is that when you have something that's vertical, one of the advantages that you oftentimes have is the ability to offer an insight that wouldn't make sense to offer because you can't make certain assumptions about who's there. So for example, when you have a college guidance counselor, right? You're trying to replace the college guidance counselor. They're keeping tabs on what's happening that's relevant to students. So like if I'm Google or Facebook, I care about like what's happening in the universe of all things people are interested in. I'm not interested in like what's happening in clubs that may help students get into colleges. So maybe like you can keep track of like, hey, just so you know, clubs got 10% more expensive last year. So you really should start saving up now. So that because maybe some students could get priced out and not be able to afford a club that impacts their ability to get into college. Or like, hey, like engineering, like the people who are using our platform, 10% more applied for squash this year. Like squash was really popular, or a lot of people are looking at it. That kind of thing, like the stuff that's very specific to students, those kinds of insights, because you kind of got to think about like, what are people, because I understand that like, it's a little annoying to like, go on these websites and see what they cost and stuff, but like I don't know if it's so annoying that I'm going to pay like $400 a year for a vertical search engine. But like having like information that is across all of this stuff where it actually does not exist somewhere else, where actually my college guidance counselor may not even have that information, is actually, something that might be worth paying for. And one thing you should also consider is that there are a lot of just from a business model perspective, there are a lot of businesses that start out saying, I want to democratize X. I want to replace X. Then they end up dealing both sides where, you're trying to replace the college guidance counselor, and then college guidance counselors end up becoming one of your biggest customers. Because if you're able to provide insights, then yes, there are students who can't afford college guidance counselors who may use this, but who may also want to pay for this? College guidance counselors. They may want to be able to say, when they go in and talk to their students, just so you know, like, people are really interested in this year. Or I found you 5 new programs that no one had heard about last year, because unlike students who have a lot of time, this is their job. Saving them 5 hours a week actually might be more useful to them. And they get to look smart, because I can tell you, college guidance counselors get a lot of parents who yell at them. And so if they can avoid that problem, they actually might be pretty happy. And so I know it's a little different than the mission, and you can still have the version that people pay for themselves, but that might actually be a more popular, market for the product. Again, if you have the sort of aggregate insights, and also consider maybe highlighting the differences, the things that people that don't exist on their own, that you are able to highlight because you are focused on a specific vertical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. And I do think that we actually have the tools possible to provide these insights that you were talking about, such as recent updates and all, using our API for OpenAI. And also using that AI, we also provide more than just a search engine, essentially, because it provides feedback on certain works, and it lists out preferences, for example, things based off preferences.
Well, the other thing that you could do is, if you're working with them, you could also plug into information about the students to give more personalized recommendations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That's what we're aiming to do. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. I hope you're taking notes, kids.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is very cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next team. All right. So, Kristen, you want to announce the best pitch?
Yes, big drum roll. Best pitch is to Vercible. You did an incredible job on your storytelling and pitch, the flow, the data. And we also just wanted to shout out that, when we were asking a lot of questions, putting you under pressure, you didn't back down, and you had your homework done and numbers prepared. So great job.